it, it took me about 45 minutes to confess everything. And I never realized that I had the weight of the world on my shoulders till I no longer had the weight of the world on my shoulders. Felt like I was floating out of the confessional. You know, and like I said, the satanic gifts that I had were no longer there. You know, when I walked into the confessional, which I did it at the priest's rectory, but when I walked in, the sky was blue and there was a tree outside in the yard and there was grass everywhere. Same as there is every time I walked in. But after all my sins were wiped out and I had absolution for the first time in my life, the sky had never been that shade of blue. The grass had never been that green. And that tree had never been that grand. And I was kind of fearing that I was never going to experience this again because I'm never going to have this much sin to confess. And it is true that I've never had that much sin to confess. But every time I'm not in a state of grace, I know it. I feel it. And I feel the weight of my sin on me. And I feel my separation from God. And then when I'm able to go to confession, the weight of my sin is removed. And I'm back in union with God. I'm back in a state of grace. And it is an amazing feeling. You know, I think the best things that Jesus left us, the greatest gifts, were confession, the Eucharist, and Mary. And I think one of the reasons for the state of our church is a lack of belief in the true presence. According to surveys, only 15% of Catholics believe in the true presence. You know, and if that's true, the majority of our church is not going to heaven. And I wish to see everybody there. I mean, I want to see the abortion doctors and the hookers and the strippers. And I mean, Jesus hung out with the worst sinners there were. You know, so I want the worst sinners there are to make it. All it takes is a trip to confession.